Okay. Thank Hashem. Thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. First of all, learning we should have the base of English immediately. Okay, Reb Naftali, I think you left off right at the top of Amud Beis, right? Right at the bottom of Amud Aleph, top of Amud Beis.
We finished the first 10 reviews discussion.
Oh, so we're going to start. The Suleka, right? Is that where you're holding? Like about 7 lines from the bottom? Suleka, okay. Okay. So we're holding, this is 38a. Where is this a quote from? This was a statement from Rebbe Lazar. It says that there were 10 mentions of the measurement of a revius. 5 of them were red, which means either wine or blood, and 5 of them are white, which was either water or wine. Oh, or water or oil. Okay. The Gemara then asks, "Besuleka, are those the only ones that you can come up with? There's no more." I have other ones. It says, "Mervius neitel miyadayim lechav afilu shnayim." You could use a revius. A revius is the measurement that we're discussing. That there's 10 of these times when the revius measurement is being used. Yeah, Kiddush, Havdalah, all of that is a revius. A Kiddush cup is supposed to be a revius. The smallest share of a revius is 2.9 ounces. And I think the biggest would probably be close to 5 ounces, 4.5. On Purim, you use the biggest one, and on Pesach, you use the smallest one. Okay, so what about washing the hands? You can use a revius to wash the hands. Is it le'echad means for one person or for one hand? I'm not sure. Even for 2 hands. The Gemara says, well, that's a machlaikas. So the reason why we only mentioned 10 and not 11 is because we didn't want to bring in the one there's an argument about. The plukta like we weren't discussing the ones that's machlaikas. But we have another case where there's a revius that's used. Some sort of container that was earthenware that would contain the dirt from the Mishkan or Beis Hamikdash, and they would use this to mix with the water for the Saita. Where the scroll was erased in that water. And Rabbi Yehuda says that it was a revius with that amount of water. The Gemara says same answer. The reason why we didn't say 11 was because it's machlaikas, and we weren't discussing the machlaikas one. But what about another case? Kolshu. How much water is added? This is if there's, according to at least one opinion, if there's urine in the room, you're not supposed to pray in that room if there's but if you add water to that urine to dilute it, then you're allowed to pray in that room. Well, you just even a little bit of water. And Reb Zakkai Revius, Reb Zakkai says Revius. So we have another source where Revius is used, another instance where Revius is used. Why do you tell me there's only 10? We really have 11. Where it says Plukta like Kamairi, we're not dealing with the machlaikas. Wika mikvah, in the early stages of mikvahs, historically, there were concepts. There's a person that goes to the mikvah, he needs 40 sa. But there were other types of mikvahs that would be to a little puddle. You could immerse a needle inside it, if it was a puddle that was collected from the rain, That would also be a mikveh, but how big would it have to be? It says the revius was enough. It says bar miahu miahi the batlu rabbana. We're not discussing that because that's not relevant anymore because the sages told us that we can't use that for a mikveh. You need a real mikveh nowadays. Even for a little needle, you need a full mikveh. Now we're on the top. Lamed Ches, base 38b, top line. Okay.
The gate was working. I tried to get in.
It's closed.
The code, it's like off.
Is the gate closed?
It was closed.
Oh, I drove in. It was open. It was wide open. Was the gate open for you? No, it's locked. And then she got the door. You want to send Ellie a message? No, I don't know how I got in. It was open.
You're the last person. You couldn't, right?
It was open for you?
No, Baro came. Came in
It's
the
so
exit.
weird.
Came in the exit.
And I didn't even have to put the code in. It was open.
Which gate? The entrance.
It's interesting.
They came in through the exit gate, you came in through the entrance gate, we couldn't get in at all. Every combination.
I have no clue what just happened there. Okay. Ve'ina chayav ela ad sheyechel min anavim kazayas chulu. On top of 38b, very top line. Okay, the Mishnah says that for a Nazir to be obligated when he eats or drinks wine or eats grapes, that would be if he has a kazayas. He has an olive size of the grapes. Then the Mishnah said that there is an earlier version of this Mishnah. Mishnah Rishayna says that you need to have a revius. You see, the olive size much less than a revius. And the question here is, when it comes to a Nazir, he has solids that he's not allowed to have, which is the grapes. He's not allowed to have the liquids. For some reason, the measurement is going to be the same for both. Usually, a solid has a measurement of the olive size. A liquid has a measurement of a revius. The question here is, because a Nazir is not allowed to drink wine, maybe everything has a measurement of a revius. You measure even the solids as a revius. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you measure even the wine as a kazayas, because he's not allowed to eat grapes. In other words, we're trying to apply one measurement for all the rules of the Nazir. So the first opinion over here says the grapes are an olive size. I think we're assuming that everything is. Mishnah Rishayna says he has to have a revius of the wine. Rabbi Akiva says that it's a kazayas. There's a whole discussion over here about the text of the Mishnah. Okay. Like a Torah rule. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's take a look at this Gemara. He's only going to be obligated if he has a kazayas of the grapes. And the same thing would apply to if he's drinking wine. He would need to have a kazayas. And Tanakama, there's two persons to this text. I like the version of the Rush. I'm just gonna read it like that. He takes out the word "lie," and in Tanakama he changes to Mishnah Rishayna. The first,
You just changed the text.
I think there were different manuscripts. He says that the Mishnah Rishona compares it to every other rule in the Torah. When it comes to drinking, it's going to be a revius, and that's what he does. But Rabbi Akiva, which doesn't do that, Kivan the Ksiv Anavim Lachem Liyaveshim Layoichal Ma'achila Kazayas Avkol Yisurim Kazayas. Rabbi Akiva says differently than that. He says that since the rule over there is that you can't have grapes, whether they're fresh or dried, which means raisins, and that's referring to a kazayas. So also the rest of the rules of a nazir are kazayas. Okay, that's one of the versions of this Gemara. Machlekes is if the revius is like a regular, if the wine of the nazir is like a regular rule of the Torah, which would be a revius, or if it's a special halacha because it says layoichal by the grapes, so it has to be a kazayas, not a revius. Maybe it's what you're saying, that it's like, well, there's other biblical laws that could be a revius, right? One of the things that was mentioned in the Mishnah by Rabbi Akiva is that you chayev for each item that you eat individually. The nazir that has the grapes is chayev. He has the peels, he's chayev. He has the pits, he's chayev. Each one independently. And if he drinks wine, he'll end up getting flogged for each, right? Taner Rabbanan, start in a brisa. Anavim lachem the yaveshim layoichal. Brisa says that you can't. It quotes the pasuk. Fresh and dried grapes you shouldn't eat. This tells us that he's going to be chayev on each one independently. He can't have done the cholisun Shabbat Torah, and from here we can learn from all other isurim in the Torah. Ma kan shemenachad ben shnei shemas chayev al zebef neatzmei al zebef neatzmei. Av kol shemenachad ben shnei shemas chayev al zebef neatzmei al zebef neatzmei. What's happening here is that even though it's one species, grapes, but he's eating them different types of the same species, fresh and dry, but he's still going to be chayav on each one independently, even though it has the same. It's the same type. It just has two names, but it has. This is called grapes. This is called raisins. He's going to be chayiv too for that. It has to be warned independently also to be chayiv. It has to be warned independently for each one to be chayiv on each one. He's just warned, don't do that. So then he's going to be chayiv once. But if he's chayiv, but if he's warned, don't eat the grapes. It says in the Torah, don't eat grapes. It tells them, don't eat the raisins. It says in the Torah. You do, you're going to get malchus. He says, nevertheless. So then he's going to get the lashes. And the Gemara says, this is coming to include new wine with grapes, which means grape juice and grapes, which really have the same taste, but because they have different names, you're going to be chayiv too. That's the chiddush over here, even though it's like literally the same thing. This one had the grapes that were right here. This one had the grapes right after it's crushed, and he's going to be chayiv, even though it's literally the same from different sides of the juicer machine. Okay. Amar Abaya. Abaya says, "Ochal chartzan like a shtayim." Okay. How do they translate chartzan? What's the English? Or should I just leave it untranslated? So either peels or pits, but I don't want to confuse you when I'm saying this. What did they say? The grape seeds. Okay, so let's call it the grape seeds. Eats the grape seeds, he gets malchus twice. What Abaya is referring to is that it says in the Torah you can't eat grape seeds. And it also says in the Torah, for the Nazir, of course, it also says anything that comes out of the vine you can't eat. So because there's another prohibition there, anything that comes from the vine, and then there's the specific prohibition that it's a grape seed, Abaya says you get malchus twice for that. The same thing would apply achal zag if he eats the peels like your stein, because first of all it's a peel. It says in the Torah you can't eat the peel. It also says he can't eat anything that the grapevine produces. So that's the second malchus. Achal chartzen v'zog like a shalish. Let's say you have both the peels and the pits. Then you're going to get three malchus because it's produced by the grapevine. Now he doesn't get four malchus because there's only that third prohibition is the general prohibition, and that covers both equally.
So there's the peels, pits, and then the grape itself.
Oh, so the Gemara is going to ask later about the in between. But meanwhile, there's a general prohibition that covers. That's just the third. Well, Rava says ain't like alachas. Rava says you only get malchus once. Sheina like alav shebachlolis. Rava's opinion is that you can't get malchus for a general prohibition. So, for example, lav shebachlolis is used. You know, the big example is it says in the Torah that you should follow my statutes, you should keep my laws, and it says that maybe 100 times in the Torah. So what are you going to get 100 malchus every time you do one prohibition because of all the times that it gave the general rule that you should keep my laws? It said no, that's called a lav shebachlolis. That's a generalization. A general, you only get malchus for the specific, when it's itemized, those details. Rava says that here also this is considered a lav shebachlolis. It's a general rule that a Nazir is not allowed to have anything that's produced. That's too general. You don't get malchus for that. By Seichel al Adam is an example, because it has so many prohibitions that are learned out of one pasuk that you don't get malchus for something like that. Masav Rav Papa. Rav Papa has a question. Rav Papa is a student of Abaya and Rava. This question is really on Abaya. Rabbi Lezer, I'm Nazir sheyayin kolayim in a chayv alachas. Another that's sipping on wine all day. It's only going to be chayav one lashes, right? Same cup of wine, same bottle of wine, same barrel of wine. Even though he's been drinking it all day, but only once, one lashes. Let's say they told him al tishta. Let's say they warned him at every meal, or at every snack, or at every sip. Don't drink. Yeah, it's like the alcoholic. Don't worry, I'm going to be fine. It's actually good for me. So he's going to get malchus for each one. Let's say he eats fresh grapes, raisins, chartanim, which we said was the pits, zogim is the peels, and he also squeezed a cluster of grapes and made some juice. So those are 5 things. The 5 are fresh, dried, pits, peels, and grape juice. 5. So he's going to be like the chamish. He's going to get 5 times lashes.
Well, if someone's gets malchus once, isn't there a number of reps, or so to speak, of malchus? Like they just get
Another count.
once, or they get 20 times for each set?
There's 39 lashes.
39
each one,
for each
yeah.
one. So in this, you take 39
By 5, yeah. Right. Yeah.
And before console the dog,
Right. Right. What would it be? What's the total of 195? No, 195. You get 195 lashes this fellow. That's a lot. So the Gemara asks, or Rav Papa is asking on Abaya, Yahachi, according to you, Lo Kishesh, you should get 6 lashes. Why? Because remember there was that general rule that anything the vine produces, you have another one. Why are you saying you only get 5? You should get 6. Achas Mikol Asher Yasef, one more, because everything that the vine produces. Abaya says, Tana B'Shaya. Tana that taught this, he left out that detail. Yeah, well, when you give a number, it's a little surprised to leave out a detail. But my Shaya, the high Shaya, the Gemara says, what else did he leave out? Whenever you have a list of things in a Mishnah, so the Gemara is going to ask, what about this other thing? Why didn't you put that in the list? So the Gemara is going to answer, we're not listing every single thing. We gave you a general thing. We said, well, what else did you leave out that you're not listing? Because if you only left out one thing, then that's obviously a statement. But if you didn't list two things, then it would say, okay, well, we weren't just counting everything. You were just giving examples. So what else did we leave out that you could tell me that you left out the prohibition of everything the vine produces? If you left out one more thing, we'll be satisfied with that answer. So Mar says, Shaya layachal dvari. There was another prohibition. He violated his vow. A violation of a vow is number 7. We left out 6 and 7. It's fine that you left it out.
George, have mercy on me.
Right.
So 6 was what?
6 to kill this thing.
6 is the general, and
6 is everything the vine produces, and 7 would be he violated the vow. It reminded me, there was this fellow in the Shullah Bel Harva, I don't know if you remember, labeled Goldsher. He was a partisan, Leon. He was a very funny guy, but it must have been in his late 90s. He was married by the Holocaust. He was with children. His children were killed, and he had a son that was killed. But anyway, he would walk up and down the alley, the aisle with his cane or 2 cane. He'd say, "Abrachmanas, ich bin a Yassam from Beide Zeiten." In his 90s. He says, "Have pity on me. I'm an orphan from both sides." You know, he was walking with his cane. It's funny, like. But yeah.
He just lost his wife. Murder. The guy just murdered his wife.
Okay, so I'm sorry, the Gemara says, I don't accept that one. Lab shiurahu, that's not considered something that you left out. That's a weak answer. We were talking about specific things that were via Nazir. You're throwing in something that applies to all Nadarim. We weren't mentioning that prohibition. Of course, there's a prohibition of Layachal Dvari, that he should not profane his words. That's not something that we would even consider that he left out. That's not even considered leaving it out, because that's a different Masechta. We're talking about things that are applicable to a Nazir, and it's only to a Nazir that you only left out one. Kasha Nabaya. Amali Ravina mi Parzakia, Ravashi, but mi Vahashaya de Bena Binayan. What about the grape in between the peel and the pit, the pulp? There's that part. That's another prohibition. And it says that we learn that from the word ad. Ad zag. That we learn that. There's 2 versions of this. Maybe it's either the pulp or maybe it's the small grapes. I think that's the time you taught this tomorrow.
No, it depends what you learn the question.
Whereas Machlekes Rishonim, I think. Elamar of Papa.
Oh, wait, you mean I'm supposed to learn what I taught also?
Leitanya Midi Chamish. Rather, Rav Papa says, it's funny, the Elamar of Papa is a difficult Elamar of Papa, because what's happening here is that we just really ended up with an answer. Bashaya de Ben Abinayim. We have an answer. We left that out, and we also left out Ben Abinayim. We left 2 out, so we're good. Everything's answered. Elamar Rava, rather Rava says, I don't need a rather Rava. We have it all resolved. I don't know. Anyway, it looks as if like we have a question here that Rav Papa is resolving. Elamar Rav Papa. Laitanya Midi Chamish. It actually, the Brisa that Rav Papa quoted did not even say that he's Chayav 5. That Rav Papa added in, and it says like a Chamish. Rav Papa added that in. Va'isvei Chamish, but he said Chamish. He says Miachad Laitanya Chamish, my time Va'isvei. If that original Brisa didn't have the word Chamish, didn't have the word 5 times in it, why did Rav Papa make that up? Amar Rav Papa says, Anas Savri, Lab Kamari Biyadi, Vahaderbe. Layadana the Kamari Biyadi, Vahaderbe. It's a very interesting Gemara. I don't even know how to explain it. Rav Papa says, I thought that Abaya did not have his teaching from a tradition. I thought that Abaye was just saying what he said logically. I wanted to challenge him, so I made up a brisa. Make up the brisa. He added a word into the brisa to see if Abaye would say, "Oh, if that's the case, then I'm going to back down." But when after telling him this brisa, Abaye doesn't back down, then he understands that it was actually a tradition. He had it from a stronger source that he's not backing down, even if you prove me wrong. I don't care. My teachers told me different. So that's what he was trying. Now, there's another commentary to this. That we don't have to say that Rav Papa made it up to try to challenge him and then to see what his answer was going to be. There's another explanation. The other explanation is that originally he thought that it wasn't a tradition, and he had a brisa that says that you only chai of 5 malchus. Then when he saw it was a tradition, he re-examined the brisa and he saw that it actually didn't say that. That's easier to follow ethically. That Rav Papa never made anything up. He had a brisa that said 5. He quotes it to Abaye. Abaye doesn't change his mind. In order to resolve the brisa, he goes back and he re-examines and he realized the brisa never said 5. There wasn't something that. Okay, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah said that there was a machlekes here, right? What was chatzanim, what was zog? Elazar ben Azariah says that if you chayev, first it starts off saying that if you eat 2 chatzanim and 1 zog, then you're going to be chayev. But otherwise, you're not chayev. Chatzanim ad zog. It has to be 2 chatzanim and 1 zog. Then the Gemara quotes us machlekes Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Yehuda. What is the chatzanim and what is the zog? Is the chatzanim the peels and zog is the pit, or chatzanim is the pit and zog is the peel? Amar Rabbi Yosef says, "Kaman mitargaminan befurtzanim v'aditzurin." Rabbi Yosef. See, Rabbi Yosef was blind, and he would recite the Torah from memory. Only thing is, you're not supposed to recite the Torah from the written law. You're not supposed to recite from memory. You have to read it from the text. So Rabbi Yosef would study the Targum, the Aramaic, because that is considered the oral tradition. Is the translation. So he would quote all the time, everywhere in Shas where we have a quote of the Targum, the Aramaic translation. So is Rabbi Yosef, because he was blind, so he was the expert in the. This is what he would recite. Says, according to which view does it say that it's from the pits to the peels? That he quotes Aramaic words. The Pritzanim Baditzurin, from the pits to the peels, which means Zog is the peel. He says, oh, that's the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. That holds it. So it's not. It's Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef from the Gemara that quotes the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yosef ben Chalaf, right? We do Mishnah. It says like this: Stam Nazir Slamed Yom. That sounds like a common Mishnah. An unspecified Naziris is always going to be 30 days. Gilach shall gilchu listim say Slamed Yom. He shaves his head, or robbers, bandits shave his head. I didn't know that was a thing bandits do. Maybe to sell it. That's right. Right.
Or to intimidate. I saw in the movie yesterday, Ip Man 4. These bullies got mad at this Chinese girl with long hair. They held her, cut her hair. Just saying, bullying.
Right. That could be bullying.
Oh, correct. I saw it for the 3rd time. What are you looking at?
Really?
I learned that. I went to Colo last night for below. I didn't see you, so don't give me a hard time.
You had to watch it the first 2 times. Yeah, we were trying to catch up. Okay. If his hair gets shaven either by himself or by his robbers, bandits, it also has to count over 30 days. Nazir Shagilach.
Excuse me, this is a Nazir.
Yeah, usually, yeah. Yeah, he has to recount. We learned that if he drinks wine, it does not affect the 30 days. It's just a prohibition. But if he becomes tame, then there's a whole process of recounting. You have to bring sacrifices and recount. And also, if his hair gets shaven, he also has to recount. Without, I think he doesn't have to do the korbanos stuff. Because he needs to have the 30-day hair growth. And if it gets shaven, he doesn't have it. Nazir Shagila. A Nazir that shaved his head, bein bezug, bein betar, whether it was a scissors. A zug is a scissors. Zug actually means a pair, like a zivug. Right? A zivug is a pair. So scissors, yeah, you need the two together to bein betar or a razor. Sifsaf. Sifsaf is either cutting the tufts of hair or something. How do they translate that?
Is that the billable pulling out?
Could be. That's one opinion. Pulling out. That's what they say. They're pulling it out. Picked it out.
And it says any amount.
So kol shiv in a small amount is going to be chayiv. But does chayiv mean that he has to recount, or does chayiv just mean that it's a violation?
How does it translate it? He's liable.
Liable. Okay. Let's take a look at this Gemara. You wait 7 years for the following Gemara. This is quite an interesting Gemara. Ibailo, I have a question. Hi Mazia milatachas Rabbi Milael. Where does your hair grow from? Does it grow from the roots or does it grow from the top? Remember, there was this fellow in Lakewood. His name was Ramesh Abba Kamyan. He was apparently he was engaged by the war. And they killed his wife under the chuppah. After that, he went a little crazy. He was a big Talmud Chacham, and but he was a little like a walk around saying jokes, and would walk back and forth in the yeshiva in Lakewood. So he said something like this. He said, where do people grow from? They grow from their feet or they grow from their head? He said, I didn't have an answer, but I saw the Russian army, and all the feet were straight, but all the heads were different. I said, they must be, they grow from the head. The Nazis killed his wife. Yeah. Anyway, he would like make copies of things, and like copies of like a wafer and a picture of Kennedy, and then like something else, and he would like laminate it. Very interesting. Anyway, so question here: where does the hair grow from? From the top or from the bottom? Why are you asking this question? What's the difference? It says, well, the Gemara has like a little bit of an assumption here that when the Nazir takes a vow that he's not going to cut his hair, this hair that he has at that moment, the hair that he has at that moment, that's the critical time when he can't cut it. That's the hair that he can't cut. Now, where's that hair going to go? Is that hair remaining there, or is that hair moving out? Right? So, what's the difference? Let's say they cut his hair, these bandits, they cut his hair, but they left the roots enough to be able to bend over. So, in other words,
we learned it with the comb.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. So, if they left that original hair, if you say that the hair grows from the bottom, Nazirus Hashakle. See, what that means, if the hair grows from the bottom, it means that it's moving up. And when they cut his hair, they cut off the original hair because it moved up. He lost the original hair. But if you say that it grows from the top, my doctor Shakayim, so the original hair is still in its place. So the original vow is still intact. Okay.
Why isn't this treated like a rape? The rape of one isn't held
Yeah, he over here he's not held guilty either. He just has to recount because he didn't get the full hair growth. Yeah. Toshima. So we're going to try to bring a proof. Come and listen. Miha inba chaya from a live louse. The koyin beikva de binsa. It stays by the root of the hair. Bisal kadaitach mil tachas rabbi. If you say the hair grows from the bottom, beresha de binsa boila mekam, it should be on the top of the hair. Where it says laila mil tachas rabbi, that's not a good proof. The hair grows from the bottom. Because it's looking for its nourishment. It keeps crawling to the roots to get its the blood, right? It lives off the blood. Right? Okay. Tashma in Bamesa Beresha de Binsa. A dead louse is on the end of the hair. Bisal Kadaitach Mel El Rabbi, if you say that it grows from the end, can't be it grows from the end. How'd it grow? How'd the louse get there? That's new hair. Should have been at the bottom if it's growing from the end. That's not a proof. It could be that it grew from grows from the top, but because it doesn't have strength, so it ends up, getting pulled up together with the hair. I'm not sure how exactly. What does it say? Oh, it slides down. Oh, hair hangs down. I thought the hair would be growing up.
Yeah, this is the Nazir.
No, well, it's not necessarily. It's just anyone with the louse. Why is it at the end of the hair? If the hair grows from the end, there was the louse was never on that part of the hair. That's got to be new hair. It says it slid down. So let's take a look. One second. Let's take a look. Tashma. Your question is a good question. Just hold it for a second. Miblayers to kushim. There's a blayers is a hairstyle of the kushim. How do they translate kushim? Oh, just plain Gentiles. That's it. Is that what you have in Bayou? Okay. The basa de megadlin rafi malatachas. After they braid it, it starts to get loose on the bottom. When they braid the hair, the bottom is looser. So how does it get looser? It must be that hair grows from the bottom, and that's new hair on the bottom. It says Hasamnami, I did the kamtihi mishichva derafia. It crumbles because he sleeps on it. The bottom gets a little looser. It's not a proof. Tashima misikrita. Come learn from the dye. The Rafi Imra Miltachas. That when they dye the hair on the sheep, while it's still on the sheep, I guess. I didn't know they dye the hair on the sheep. It sounds like the cartoon or something.
This is to mark the sheep.
Oh, it was to mark. I thought this was like because they were getting the wool ready, Anyway, Betanya Su, and there's another brisa, another teaching. Kadsavi Savia Dikneya and Chivren Ikvei Nimain. When the old people dye their hair, I guess they would dye it from white to black. So the roots of it, you see the bottom of it is white because it's growing out. They didn't dye that part. I mean, they dyed it, but because it's growing. You see, it grows from the bottom.
It's interesting they say the old people dye their beards.
The beard.
Just ain't dyeing your hair because they've already lost it.
Right. Shmamina mila tachas rabbi. Shmamina. We see obviously that the hair grows from the bottom. Yeah. They came to the conclusion. Okay, now. Yeah. It's interesting. Bella had the Tanya.
Still doesn't explain how.
Right. Yeah. It's taught in a brisa. Nazir shall gechul list mashir but they luck of fresh liquor in a seisa. The brisa is not a brisa. It's a oh no, it is the brisa. In the Mishnah we didn't say this. This is a brisa. Let's say the bandits they shaved his head, but they didn't shave it all the way down. They trimmed his hair, but they left the hair. They luck of fresh liquor. The base of the hair they left there. If the hair grows from the bottom, according to what you're saying, that the hair grows from the bottom, and we proved it from the dyeing of the wool, or from the beard, that the hair grows from the bottom. So why is this acceptable just because they left a little hair on the bottom? The original hair, when he took the vow, is not on the bottom. That original hair is up on the top now, which they cut off. It says, it's because they cut his hair after he had finished already the 30 days. So what's the problem? Mani Rebbe Lezer, if you finish the 30 days, but you didn't do the sacrifice, you're supposed to wait for the sacrifices. So what happens is you have to regrow hair. But how much hair do you have to regrow? Because you cut it too early. They have to grow enough that's considered a growth, which is 7 days. It says that's why you have to wait 7 days. Now, okay. Call Achamalei Zayin Saisa. My time of the Rabbi Eliezer. Yalef the glachastar mit the glachastuma. We learn from when someone has to shave his hair after he becomes tamei. How long does he wait over there? Mat glachastuma shiva after glachastar shiva. Also over here, when he has to shave his, he has to grow his hair again to cut it at the right time. It's only 7 days. The kimul rabbanon calls ayin yamin. What is it? Then he has to bring. First he brings sacrifices. But he waits 7 days, brings sacrifices, and starts again. But if it's already the end of his tumah, if the end of it's the end of his naziris, and he cut his hair too early before the sacrifices, he just has to bring the sacrifices. No, he has to wait 7 days and then bring the sacrifice. So, and the sages established that kol zayin yom and asam mazik they luck fresh liquor. The interesting thing over here is that when they came and cut his hair, they left a 7 days worth of hair on his head. And so therefore, this person doesn't have to wait at all because he has the 7 days. Well, even if they would have cut it down, they would have had to wait 7 days. But he has the 7 days worth of hair, so that's acceptable. He doesn't have to wait. Yeah. Okay, let's leave this money here.
So we up to Tan Rabbana?
We're up to Nasser Shagila, the line right before that.
Okay.